Hello, we're here today with Christian Jourquin, and we have the pleasure to interview him. Manas will ask the first question.
So following the Occupy Wall Street movements, what potential do you feel that cultural diplomacy has in perpetuating this and in future global economic challenges?
Personally, I believe it's becoming more and more crucial because the economic relations are becoming more and more global, but we have to understand much better how people react and how people integrate realities. And if you compare the way people think in Europe, which is a very linear approach, and if you compare that with an approach which is more oriental, then we feel that if we don't understand the way of thinking of our counterparts, that we are missing a part of the opportunity. So there I believe that intercultural diplomacy can help focusing the interest of people on what is really important to understand.
And as you are the CEO of Solvay, we were also wondering, because there have been several changes in restructuring Solvay. For example, the workforce mobility program. I don't know if you could elaborate on that and maybe how other companies could learn from that.
I would say one of the basic points that we try to develop is not only mobility to Belgium, but I would say internal mobility in the group. Again, to better understand what makes things different in the different countries. One thing which is important is that we accept to decentralize activities and that we put decision centers in areas where things happen. But that means that you accept to empower people and that you accept to integrate their behaviors. And then I believe you can build a group integrating talents coming from all the parts of the world. And if you succeed in creating teams with all these people coming from the different regions, then really you have, I would say, a good picture of what the world should be.
So you just mentioned there the need for a decentralization of power. So how do you view the sovereign nations of Europe giving up some of their fiscal autonomy to, or potentially giving up some of their fiscal authority to a greater European establishment?
Yes, but when I speak about decentralization, it's mainly decentralization of decision within the mainframe.
Okay.
And the mainframe has to be global for a company. You can have, you can adapt your policy, basic policy, to a number of countries or regions, but basically we have one human resource policy, we have one financial policy, but that doesn't mean that we don't have specific application.
Okay.
A good example, the code of conduct of the group is the same in all the parts of the world.
Of course, yeah. The standardization, I think, is what you're getting at. And just one final question. In your opinion, what role can cultural diplomacy play in international trade negotiations? A better understanding of a person's culture, and you may have seen this in your work in the private enterprise, just an integration of people's culture could help in understanding.
Look, I'm always impressed in the different behaviors in negotiations. You know, for instance, when you go to Asia, nobody can lose a face. Well, you have to know that. But if you behave in a negotiation just as if you would be in Europe, you go for a failure. So I believe that cultural diplomacy can help people to understand. No, and that was one of the topics I tried to make clear. Since the fact that our company is in some countries for a long period, that we have very good local managers, they can help diplomats arriving in a country to say, well, you know, but the reverse. Somebody as a diplomat coming in with other eyes can bring a lot to a company, even if we are in a country for 100 years.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Well, thank you very much. Unless there's any other questions.
Maybe one final question, if that's okay with you. It was also yesterday the Women's Day, International Women's Day. And I was wondering also, because Solvay is so international, are there some countries, probably there are difficulties like getting also women equal as men in the company? Do you have any kind of problems with that?
Yes. I would say that's one of the points where I am personally disappointed, because I tried to promote more women in the company. Now, what we discover is that we have basically needs in I would say hard science like chemistry and things like that. And what you see is, first of all, the appeal for these studies is decreasing, and I would say the proportion of women in the universities going in this material is decreasing too. And so I would say, when you try to promote, I would say, senior chemists, well, it's not easy to find women. But you know, it's a long-lasting effort. I was in charge of the chemical sector. When I took over, we had 8 on 180 members of the higher staff. We had 8 women. When I left 6 years later, we had 18. But to go from 8 to 18 was quite an effort. Now, what I see is that in Eastern countries, in Asia, you have much more women, and a number of the women we've promoted in the company are specifically coming from Asia. It's very interesting to see that you don't have this kind of attention.
Well, thank you very much for the interview.
It was my pleasure, and good luck for you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So, good night.
Thanks very much.
And that was a very nice experience.